Willpower by 33 points. Both drivers aiming for their third IndyCar Series championship. Chip Ganassi Racing in pursuit of their 16th IndyCar championship, and Team Penske looking for their 18th. And as a preview, we're joined by the two strategists for the two teams. Great to have Barry Wanser with us today. Barry is the senior manager of IndyCar operations for Chip Ganassi Racing, as well as serving as the strategist for the number 10 DHL Chip Ganassi Racing Honda. And also great to have Ron Ruzewski with us. Ron is the IndyCar managing director for Team Penske, as well as serving as a strategist for the number 12 Verizon Business Team Penske Chevrolet. And Barry, again, thanks to both of you guys here today. Barry, let's start with you. Racing for a championship this weekend. What has the atmosphere been like at the shop?
I think it's just a lot of momentum. It's certainly it's great to be with the opportunity to run for another championship. Certainly with Alex, the 10-car group's very focused. We have a lot of fun racing, and we're looking forward to going to Nashville, and with hopefully luck on our side. I know we didn't have any luck in the last race with the early failure there on the parade laps, but hopefully all that's behind us, and we're moving on to Nashville, and the luck carries forward with us.
That's the thing about Alex. Even in times where things don't look good, he seems to always bounce back, and he's very steady, and that's why he's in a position like he is heading into perhaps the third championship like this. And Ron, for you, I mean, when you get to the final race of the season and you're in play for a championship, that means you've had a pretty good season. How would you sum up the year for you and Will?
Yeah, thanks, Dave. I mean, it's been a really, honestly, a pretty up and down season. Team Penske's had a lot of success this year, and we've won a lot of races, but we've split them up between a bunch of drivers, which doesn't help for the points. But anytime you can go into the last race with a chance, you've done something right, and you're in play. We'd like to be in a little bit better situation than we are. Every team can say, oh, if this would have happened or if that would have happened. Well, it didn't. So we all, we're just looking forward, and we're going to give it our best this weekend, and hopefully have something for the Ganassi folks.
I'm reminded of the Dumb and Dumber line. If you're saying there's a chance, you guys definitely have that heading into the finale, Nashville Super Speedway. Hey, let's go ahead and open it up for questions. Again, if you have a question, use the virtual raised hand button. And let's go ahead and begin. Steve Wittich, Trackside Online and NBC. Go ahead, Steve. Welcome.
Hey, guys. Thanks for doing this. Barry, just a quick question. Can you confirm what the issue was at Milwaukee?
I think after everything that's been checked out, it's been narrowed down to an actual battery failure, the car battery. It does not seem like that everything's been tested, that the hybrid system caused any problems with this. It was just literally a very unexpected failure in the battery.
Okay. And you obviously been working with
in fact, we're running the same hybrid system that we had in Milwaukee. Like literally the only thing that's getting changed is the battery.
Good. Obviously on your stand with you, you've got Julian, and then you guys are so experienced, but you're also very calm. Alex kind of takes on your personality, or do you guys take on Alex's personality?
I think drivers are drivers, and regardless of how excited they are on the radio or in events that are out of their control, I think those of us on the stand need to help manage those emotions, and that's something that I've always been able to do. I learned that from Chip. Many years, obviously, working with Julian, and additionally Brian Welling, a lot of years of experience there, and crew chief Ricky Davis. So the group of us, we're constantly talking about strategy, talking about what might happen, what we would do if this happened, and it goes pretty smooth. Alex just does what we ask him to do, and a lot of times he does more than that. He showed his level of professionalism, how calm he could be under those circumstances at the Milwaukee race too. When he got back to the stand, I spoke to him like, look, we're not sure whether we're going to be able to get the car running or not, but you're going to get back in the car. If we can get running, we're just going to go out there and run laps. I mean, right now, at that point, 2 cars had crashed on the start, And so that's 2 more points, so we can jump ahead right there in just very few laps of running if we can get it running, and then we'll just see what the attrition is. So we're fortunate to, go out of the race in 27th and ended up finishing 19th, and a lot of that has to do with the perseverance of the team and Honda to help analyze the problem, and Alex to stay calm in the car, and I think everyone showed we made sure we didn't get anybody's way. It's obviously hard to find a spot and hide at Milwaukee when everyone's stretched out, but we stayed, make sure we pitted we tried to pit when others weren't pitting, to make sure we had the same level of tires as everybody, to make it easier for Alex to just maintain pace and not get anybody's way.
And a quick one for Ron. Ron, the 12 crew, I think, is going to win its 3rd straight Firestone Pit Performance Award. How confidence building is that for you guys, just as a team in general, that crew, how good they are?
Yeah, thanks, Steve. It's always great when you can, you spend so much time on pit lane these days, and it's so difficult, whenever you can have that confidence that you're gonna, you got the best guys, servicing the car. It just gives you that, that level of, I guess it takes one of the variables out of your mind for the most part. You're almost expecting perfection each time. So, you can sometimes get aggressive with your strategy, or you can do some things that you may not be able to do if you're not confident in the crew. But it takes time. That group's been working together for a long time. We're fortunate all 3 of our pit crews are really strong, and there's a lot of depth there. They put a lot of work into it, and they're really proud of their accomplishments. And it gives the driver a bunch of confidence as well. So just knowing that every time he comes in, that he's got a chance to at least maintain, if not pick up positions, it kind of radiates through the whole group.
Great. Thank you, guys. See you this weekend.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, can confirm that the 12 did win the Firestone Pit Performance Award for 2024. So congratulations, Ron, and to your crew as well. Let's go to Dan Jones, Dive Bomb Motorsports. Hi, Dan.
Hi, Dave. Thank you very much. First of all, I guess I'll start off with Barry. The Firestone are testing the alternate tyre again for this race. So I was just wondering if you could sort of give any insight in how you think that might change the racing, if that will make a difference to what we're used to on ovals this year.
Well, I think we've been running off the alternate tires on the road courses, street courses for many years. Last year, tried the alternate tire, an alternate tire situation at the Gateway. We really don't know how the tires are going to perform. It's no different than just having primary tires at Gateway. We didn't know how much degradation we're going to have, whether they're going to have passing or not. Same thing in Milwaukee, and we ended up having great races there. So heading into Nashville, we're in the same situation, but now they're throwing in this additional unknown with the alternate tires. And the difference is there's little regulation on the tires. So we have 6 sets of primaries and 4 sets of alternates, and there's no IndyCar usage guidelines for us, except we must run 2 sets of alternates and 1 set of primaries in the race. That means we can use the tires and as many tires as we want in practice. We can choose which tires we want to qualify on, and then we can choose which tires to race on. So after the Saturday night practice, we have to declare our starting tires like we normally do. But again, there's no true usage rules. So you could have the alternate tire be the favorite tire or the primary. But if you have one tire that's least preferred, that's when you can start having some different strategies play out throughout the race, like basically just like we do on the road courses, street courses with the alternate tires.
Yeah, thank you. And for Ron, I guess the team are expected to perform quite strongly, judging off your oval form in the last few years. So how could Joseph and Scott sort of play a role in supporting Will if the situation needs to help Will win the championship?
Well, ultimately we need all of our cars to finish in front of Alex. So, having them have a good day overall is a benefit to us, just trying to take points away. But at the end of the day, we we need, 7 or 8 other cars to have a good day as well, assuming that, Alex has some struggles. But the biggest thing that we can use the 3 and the 2 for is information. You got 3 world-class drivers there. The practice sessions are short, as Barry alluded to. There's different tires. So trying to maximize the information from the practice time, trying to understand and get, a feeling for degradation. There's some chance of weather this weekend, so not sure how that'll play into the schedule. But if it does, the more information we have, the better decisions we can make. And, all 3 of our guys are, they all work really well together, especially when push comes to shove, and, they're trying to, all 3 run up front. And it's really been a strength, especially on the ovals, the last couple of years. And setups aren't too different. And it's, I expect them all to work really, really well together this weekend.
Thank you. And just one more for Barry. I think there's sort of a perception where Alex isn't, well, not good in ovals, but isn't as strong as ovals. But I think in 20 races for the team, he's got something like 16 top 10 finishes. I was just wondering if you could give sort of your perspective on how Alex is as a racer, particularly on ovals.
He's certainly, it's his 4th year in IndyCar. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't get his first win this weekend. I mean, going in even in the Gateway weekend, we thought that was possible, and as well as Milwaukee. I mean, he definitely runs up front, and he's certainly capable. He loves the ovals. He understands the ovals, but the ovals are hard. It's different racing. So there's different techniques, and the veteran drivers certainly have the advantage. But it's fun watching some of the younger drivers start to pick it up. And Alex, like I say, he's poised to win his first oval, and I think he's really looking forward to that himself.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate your time. Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, you got it, Dan. Yeah, that'd be a heck of a double. First oval win and championship all in one fell swoop at Nashville. Jack Binion from the race. You're up next. Go ahead, Jack.
Hey, Dave. Thanks very much. Ron, I wanted to ask you what it's like to go up against Alex Palou as a competitor. I know you've got a lot to think about this weekend in terms of your own performance and your own team, but you're also going up against a pretty fierce competitor there. What's it like going up against him, and what do you see as his sort of strengths and weaknesses?
Yeah, that's a great question, because as Barry said early on, we've been competing against each other for a long time. I know we've both been at this for a while, and however it works out, we always comes down to battling each other, one way or another, 2 teams. And it's always been, right from day one, it's, well, we can't count out Scott Dixon, but then, they go and hire this other guy that's equally as good, if not better, on certain days. So, I mean, Alex is a extremely formidable competitor. The comment before about not winning an oval, in my mind, that's just a matter of circumstances. He's been more than good enough to win a number of times on the ovals. So the fact that he hasn't is really just circumstantial. It was surprising to me that Colton hadn't podiumed before on an oval until last week. So there's certainly a vast talent pool out there of young guys that are fast, but Alex is just there. He's the complete racer right now. He takes a bad day and makes it a good day. Everybody says, oh, you got to be lucky and whatever, but he puts himself in a position to capitalize on luck. And I think that's something that champions do. This Milwaukee was a perfect example. They had a bad day. They got the car running. They just went out there, did what they did. There was a lot of attrition. Will made a mistake, and instead of Will coming out of there close, and instead, Alex is in a strong position going into Nashville. So you can't bet against those guys. I'm going into the weekend with hope, I guess, but also a sense of calmness, because it's really easy for us. We just got to have a perfect weekend, and then at that point, really, it's up to them to lose.
Thanks, Ron. And Barry, I guess a similar question for you. What do you see in Will Power as a competitor, and obviously you're going into this with the advantage of the points lead and everything there, and things in your favor, but also you're equally up against a competitor who's been around the series for a long time, and I'm sure you rate very highly as well.
Oh, absolutely. Going into this race for the lead is great, but it's not over with yet. Certainly not when you're racing a guy like Will Power with multiple championships and really just one of the best on the ovals, right? So he's for sure going to have an advantage this weekend. At Portland, we battled, for most of the race, and the only way we were going to beat Will is if he made a mistake, and he's not a guy that makes very many mistakes. Like Ron said, okay, he made a mistake at Milwaukee, but Alex made a mistake at Iowa race 1. Like these guys, they're pushing it. It just goes to show how hard the racing is, how much the drivers are pushing, whether it's restarts or just during a run. So, but yeah, Will's a class act, one of the best out there, and he's one we're trying to beat. So we'll see how it plays out.
Thanks, Barry. Thanks, Ron. Thanks, Dave.
You got it, Jack. Guys, this is like a mutual admiration society. We were hoping for like jabs between you two, but so far it's not happening.
No, Dave, we before we started it, we were saying like Ron and I are like we've been doing this a long time, and we congratulate each other, and sometimes you have the year, and sometimes the other guy has the year. So one of us will be congratulating the other this weekend. You know what I mean? And yeah. No boxing matches here.
All right. Well, for sure, you stood the test of time. You got a lot of experience. This is exactly why you guys are in the position that you are. Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Go ahead, Nate.
Thanks, Dave. I've got one for each and then one for both. And sorry, Dave, none of these are particularly inflammatory. I'll start with Barry. Following up with your answer to Steve about the battery issue at Milwaukee, what you were saying there, going back now to Nashville with pretty much the same setup. Is it fair to characterize that as just it was a fluky thing then, that you're sticking with the same setup for Nashville, that this is just something that could happen to anybody? It just happened to happen to the points leader. Is that a fair assessment?
Absolutely. It's a very fair assessment. We certainly have mileage limits that we run on all of the components in our control. The battery was well under those mileage limits, and unfortunately, the manufacturer determined it was a internal failure that was not caused by any external reasons.
Got it. And then for Ron, you alluded to the mistake that Will made at Nashville. He was really beating himself up after the race. It seemed like the next day as well. What's his demeanor been like over the last week? Have you guys had to pump him up a little bit? Has he been promising that he's going to kind of make good on what happened at Milwaukee? Give us a sense of Will Power right now.
No, not really. I mean, he's maybe a Will Power a couple years ago would be a different story, but he's you're joking around. We said, if we could go back and change things, we'd all be lottery winners, and we can't change it, right? So it's what it is. You got to move forward from it. So he just gotta, he's just happy that he still has a chance, right? I mean, nobody could have predicted Alex having a problem. Alex had a problem. All right, we had a problem, but at the end of the day, the goal was still met. We went into that race going, we just need to finish in front of Alex. Whatever that is, it is. And we just want to have a chance going into the last race. And we have a chance. I mean, it's not as close as we would like, but we certainly have a chance, and we all realize that. But it could easily went the other way. So, you can sit there and dwell about it, but I think you got to put it behind you, and you just got to move on and do what you can and deliver the best performance possible.
Got it. And then for both of you as strategists, I know that often you've got the predictive software, you're going off historical trends, cautions, all of that, but you guys are racing at a track where it's been 16 years since the last IndyCar race. So, and plus it's new car, new tire. How do you even kind of strategize? Do you even go back and look at races from 2001 to 2008, or does none of that even matter? So I get both of your answers on that. Maybe start with Barry. Thanks.
It's it really, again, there's a lot of unknowns going into the race. Certainly we look at historical information, but you typically don't make decisions off historical information. You're racing the race. It's a pretty much looks to be going to be an easy 3-stop race, but it can easily be a 4 or 5-stop race depending how the tires play out. We did not think at Milwaukee we would be pitting early on the tires, not going the distance on the fuel. I mean, some cars did, but you saw they paid a big price by staying out too long. So I think part of the strategy, certainly on the 10 car, again, the strategy is not just mine. It's it's veteran race engineer Julian Robertson and veteran assistant engineer, performance engineer Brian Welling, and certainly Ricky Davis. So we're constantly talking about our options, and we generally agree on the option we choose, but ultimately I'll make a decision if there's a decision that needs to be made, and we'll see how it plays out. But I think it's going to be great racing. I'm very hopeful for that, and I think Firestone's done a great job with the oval tires this year, and it showed certainly in the last 3 with Gateway and both Milwaukee. So I think the alternate tire is going to be pretty interesting. The alternate might be the favorite tire, the primary. You never know. Over the primary, we'll see.
Yeah, Nate, and I guess to pick up from that, a couple things that are, not just the alternate tire, but the way in which we have to use the alternate tire. So, Barry said there's no rules, like we don't have to use sticker tires, but what there is we have to use 2 sets of them, which obviously in a road course scenario, we only have to use 1 set. We have to use 2 sets of the alternate tires in this race. And when you look at that in conjunction with the pit loss penalty, the pit loss penalty is pretty big at Nashville. So you start to look at all those different factors and when you're going to pit and how much risk you're going to take. If the alternate does fall off, are you willing to hang yourself out? Then a caution comes out, you're a couple laps down, right? So all these things kind of weigh through your head, and we'll have a better idea maybe after practice 1, for sure after practice 2, but at that point your bed's already made with going into the race and what you have for tires and such. So it'll be interesting. We're definitely going to be on our toes and really relying on all our resources.
And really,
thanks, Ron.
Ron touched base on it earlier. Like, we're expected potential weather. So even with what we consider limited practice, it could be even more limited. So that could throw a wrench into the strategy as well.
Definitely fingers crossed on the weather. But thanks, Ron. Thanks, Barry. I appreciate it. Good luck to you both. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah,
Thanks.
you got it. There are lights at Nashville. I'm just throwing that out there. So, Barry's got.
Unlike Milwaukee, correct? Like, we were up against certainly Saturday's race. We're up against the sunset, but yeah, there's great lights at Nashville. It'll be great to be back at Nashville.
Yeah, no, it's going to be really cool. Time for a few more. Eric Smith, let's come to you, and then Ben Johnson. Joey, you're up next after that. Eric, go ahead.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, kind of a question for both of you. Well, piggybacking off Nate's question there. How do you approach this weekend? Obviously, there's the old adage of why change the philosophy with what got you here, but on the 12 car, you really need to win, and the 10 car, you could points race, but Alex was saying in Milwaukee, there's a big risk of points racing as you could further behind. So I'm just curious, how do you approach a unique race weekend with so much at stake?
Certainly for the 10 car, we Alex has already told you, like, we don't points race. We have to run and race to win, because if we're points racing, then that affects the strategy. And again, with the alternate tires, and some of that's going to really come into play potentially, and play a part of the outcome of the race. So, we want to run up front and run a leader strategy with the goal of finishing as far forward as possible. I mean, it doesn't change for us. It's, we're racing to win. If you can't finish first, finish second. If you can't finish second, finish third. And that's how we're going into the weekend.
And curious for you, Ron, just, you guys obviously got to this point with the philosophy, but you kind of have to swing for the proverbial fence here to try to eke out a win. Do you change anything in that approach with having kind of a win or bust mentality, or do you just take it how it's been the other 16 races to get to this point?
No, I mean, I would say every weekend we go into the weekend with the expectation of winning. But, if we don't have a winning car in the race, we try and get the best position that we can. I would say the only difference in this race is if it gets down to the end and, we have no chance, or it looks very slim and we got to, maybe go off strategy or do something at the ninth hour, you would entertain that. But, that's, you make that call as you go along, and I'm sure Barry would do the same if he's sitting there just out of the realm and we're leading the race and he needs to do something to get himself in a position. You do what you need to at that point. But short of that, your best bet is to go do what you've been doing, do what got you to here, and that's try to win races.
And Barry, a quick follow-up for you. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask. It's been a unique journey for you this last 12 or so months of the health battle you had last year around this time. And I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but just can you talk about the journey you've had these last months, the support system you've had around you, and the chance to celebrate with the guys on site this weekend, just to be able to look at their eyes and their faces and the moment that would be like, especially for what you just went through this last 12 months?
Yeah, sure. Obviously, people are diagnosed with cancer every day. It was my turn last year. Just happened to be me. Had a couple surgeries that I was able to get done sooner than later. So that took me away from the last two races. So yeah, I wasn't there. But you saw the team, had the Barry heads, and which was pretty awesome to see from home, even on some pretty good pain meds. But and I can tell you the Barry heads, there was a lot of them made, and they're still around. I still get pictures today from my teammates and friends. So I got through the recovery of that. Still somewhat recovering a little bit in some areas of my neck, but it just was great to be back with the team to start the year, and then to have another shot at a championship this year. And certainly it'll mean a lot more to me personally if we're able to pull it off and I'm there.
Well, we're glad you're here. I'm glad to be there this weekend, and good to see you. And safe travels to everybody heading down this weekend.
Thanks. And just to follow up, your support system. I mean, it's been very humbling. The amount of support I've had, not just from my teammates, but from the paddock and all of racing in general, and the fans and everything. It's been pretty special. So thanks to everybody that have been pulling for me, and it made a difference.
Well said, Barry. Again, time for a couple more. Ben Johnson from the Paddock Eye, and then Joey coming to you.
Cheers, Dave. Hey guys, congratulations on getting to this stage. Obviously, it's been a pretty big season. For both of you, what are your thoughts on ending the season and for it to be a championship race at an oval event?
Chip Ganassi Racing, we love ovals. I know, we've already talked about Alex hasn't won on an oval, but we're not disappointed. It's an oval. We're happy just having a very unique series with, a variety of racetracks that we get to race on. It makes the IndyCar racing, unique, and to be able to finish at a place like Nashville, I think it's pretty special.
Excellent. And for yourself, Ron?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's variability in both road and street course and oval racing, but I love the fact of finishing on oval just because I think ovals are part of the IndyCar DNA, and it really it's really a unique opportunity, and it's generally close racing, and kind of if there was more contenders in it, it's really interesting, especially it gets dicey at the end. Strategies, different things that play into it. So I'm really excited about it being an oval. I love finishing on an oval, and Nashville's a great venue for us.
Excellent. Well, best of luck this weekend, guys, and congratulations on a great season.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Cheers,
Ben.
Dave.
You got it. Joey Bars, motorsport.com. Go ahead, Joey.
Hey, thanks, Dave. Barry, just kind of coming to you on a couple of quick hits here. Looking at it, Alex is 27 years old. This is his 5th year in the series, and he has a chance to be a 3-time champion. I mean, we all know that this is an exceptionally talented crop of drivers, incredibly competitive championship. How do you quantify that, or how would you even define like what a 3rd championship in 5 seasons, not even being 28 years old, is, what the impact of that is really for this series?
I mean, it would be an incredible achievement with as competitive as IndyCar is. I mean, you see week in and week out, how well so many cars, so many drivers are running. For Alex to pull that off, and if he were to get his third within 5 years, 4 years with us, it's pretty special, and it's quite an achievement. Again, even up to this point, to be able to be contending for a third championship is pretty special. So it just goes to show what Alex is capable of doing, and we know we've had the performance in the team with Scott, for the last few years, lead up till Alex joined us. But it's been great having two guys really being able to take advantage of it. I mean, it's very difficult for a driver and engineer to develop that relationship to give the driver exactly what they need to perform, and that's what we've been able to do. With Alex, and it's hard to do with drivers. It's very hard to do.
Can you also just kind of elaborate too? I mean, now that we've had quite a few seasons now with Alex, and obviously him being teammates with Dixie for so long, I mean, can you kind of elaborate on maybe how that dynamic is with them too? Because obviously it's raised the profile of the team, because for a long time it was Dixon's the main guy on campus, and while you still might be looking at what Alex has been able to kind of soak up from him, and just how the dynamic of that has maybe changed within the team.
Yeah, I think even from day one, I think they had mutual respect, but certainly there's a greater respect there when another driver is actually performing and winning, and what that does for the team, what that does for Scott, who's had some bad luck this year as well. If you were to add up all of his finishes where they didn't score very many points, he'd be right there in title contention as well. So sometimes it's the culmination of the season why Scott hasn't been part of it in the last couple of years. But certainly when you have more than one driver that's getting performance out of the car, that gives data and video to the other engineers, race engineers and drivers to improve those cars. And that's what we do at Chip Ganassi Racing. It's an open book for all the drivers, all the engineers, every session, all information. And Scott benefits from that, and as well as Alex benefited from all of the years of information and data that we have.
And then just lastly, and Eric, you kind of touched on this with Eric's question there at the end, but kind of going back to last year and unfortunately missing those last two races and not getting a chance to celebrate the championship. I mean, for you on a personal note, I mean, what has this journey been like for you to know that you have an opportunity to kind of finish a story that in some ways maybe was unfinished for you last year?
I have to say, like, I try not to focus. I don't focus too much on me. I'm glad, personally, I focus on myself to make sure I'm as healthy as possible and stuff. But, I'm more focused on what the team achieves. And, certainly, the whole team plus, us uniquely with the 10-car team. And that's what we're trying to do, is win another championship. And it's going to be as rewarding to everybody on the team. There's going to be some, if we're fortunate enough to pull it off, there'll be some first-time champions. If we're, fortunate to pull it off, there'll be some 16-time champions and everything in between. But either way, it's going to be, if we pull it off, it'll be pretty special to all of us.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate both of y'all coming on the call today. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks.
All right, we got time for one more. Luis Salinas, go ahead, wrap us up.
Thank you, Dave. Hi, everyone. This question, the only one, will be for Ron and Barry. Ron, start with you. How many change the quantity and the quality of information on a season finale around the last 206 laps of the season?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the question.
All right, again. Start with you, Ron. How many change the quantity and the quality of information on a season finale? Speaking about the radio, around the last 200 laps of the season, or it's like a normal race?
You kind of treat it like a normal race. You just go into it with the same level of confidence, same level of expectations. There's a lot of unknowns as we've talked about with the tires and just seeing how the race is going to unfold. This is a different aero package that we're running. We're not exactly sure with this aero package and these tires, how things are going to play out. So trying to understand all of those things is then going to dictate a bit about how we communicate with each other, how we communicate to the driver, and sort of our approach throughout the race, and trying to achieve. In the case of the 12 car, we need to be aggressive. We need to lead the most laps. We need to basically score points however we can. And, we're going to go into it as soon as we have some information, and we're going to be kind of calling audibles through the whole race, almost like a no huddle offense. But, I think with the group we have, we can react pretty quickly.
All right, thanks. Same question, Barry. Unfortunately, I don't have a reference with Alex Radio because the onboard is not available on the live races for it. Do you have the chance to listen to the radio the entire race?
Yeah, I mean, like Ron said, we're going to go into it. You gotta do the obvious things right. We got to get through the start and then get into a rhythm, and then we'll start making decisions on what we think is going to be best use of the primary and alternate tires, as well as what it takes to stay running up front. I mean, if we're not up front, we want to get up front and stay there. So, as far as the information on the radio, until it gets late in the race, we're racing to finish as far forward as possible. And then, like Ron said, if you're forced into desperation, that'll happen later in the race. It's not I don't think anybody wants to get into it. You need to do anything desperate initially, because even though it's only a 206 lap race, it's still a lot of laps. A lot can happen. So again, there's so many unknowns. We're going to be racing the track with, like I say, a new car, new tires, alternate tires, and I'm looking forward to it. It's fun because it gives you options.
Right. Not every day on my situation I have a chance to talk with the strategist, and I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, guys. All the best. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
You got it, Luis. Thanks for joining us. I'll leave you with this. Barry, you kind of dusted off a little bit of my memory bank here. The last time IndyCar wrapped up the season on an oval, you remember who won that race, Barry?
I do not.
Tony Kanaan.
Oh, Tony Kanaan. Okay.
In the tent car, correct? At Auto Club Speedway back in the day?
We did finish there, right? Correct. I think that was his first or second race with us here. I can remember. Yeah, but that was a memorable win for sure. Obviously not memorable enough to remember it was the last oval win, but oval race of the year.
Problem is, you got so many of them. They all kind of.
No, I'm just getting old and forgetful. And
Kanaan won the race. Ron, the good news for you is Will Power won the championship that year, 2014. So we'll see what happens. Thanks to both you guys for doing this.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks.
Nice
I know Ron can say the same thing, where this is not something we're used to doing. We're used to, talking on the radio where we can roll our eyes at the driver or whatever, and he can yell back at us, and it's not in person till they get out of the car.
You can go back to yelling at the drivers now. It's all good. Thanks again for doing this. Safe travels to both of you.
All right. Thank you.
Hey,
Thanks,
reminder, the video of this news conference along with transcripts will be available on the IndyCar content site here momentarily, and coverage of Sunday's Big Machine Music City Grand Prix presented by Gainbridge begins at 3 p.m. Eastern. It's on NBC, Peacock, Universo, and the IndyCar Radio Network. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your week.